Welcome to From the Ground Up here. I'm John Boydnott. Good to have you on the show again. Back with us, everyone. This is a show on the Grit Daily Network where we talk to entrepreneurs about what they're working on, and the hope is that folks out there can get some advice on how to run their companies better. And today, joined by Amy Rencher, the SVP of Small Business and Talent at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Oh, wow. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Tell us about a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about the MEDC.
Certainly. Well, again, my name's Amy Rencher. I'm the Senior Vice President for Small Business and Talent at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. It's been my pleasure to work here on behalf of the state of Michigan for just about 4 years. And prior to that, I spent the better part of the last decade in work we like to call entrepreneurial ecosystem building. So helping create the infrastructure of assets, resources, partners, and capital to provide the best business climate possible for small business and entrepreneurs. So it's a great transition from sort of previous life into tackling this at a bigger statewide level.
That's great. It's great to have you on the show. It's cold in Michigan right now. Snow coming down, and
We love that.
so if you like that out there, and you're somebody with a business mind, and you want to start a business, and you're thinking of Michigan, why would somebody think of Michigan? I mean, oh my God, it's snowing. Wouldn't they want to run far away, or no? What are your thoughts on why Michigan is so attractive to small businesses?
Yeah, well, not if you love the outdoors. We are a four-season state, and we're very proud of that. I'm a lifelong Michigander, so I like to brag on that. I mentioned earlier that it's snowing here, and but it's just as beautiful here with our Great Lakes in the summer. So, the quality of life that we have to offer folks here as an entrepreneur is really hard to find elsewhere. If I can so humbly brag, great culture here, diverse urban and rural communities. It really all comes together with a first class, really world class business environment. So we really pride ourselves on helping create that world class business environment, both for on the larger end of business traction and retention, and certainly in the early stage companies and those we build from the ground up. So we are this sort of infrastructure for innovation or entrepreneurial ecosystem is a big part of the role that the state's economic development agency, where I work, plays. And that's, I think, a key to the success and why it makes it such an attractive place for Michigan is to launch and grow your business.
Yeah, you're in Detroit. We talked before the show. You're telling me you're in Detroit, and Detroit's one of those stories over the last couple decades where there's been a real rise and a growth in Detroit, and this sort of ecosystem that's getting stronger there, and a happy place for folks to live. And I've seen it on TV. Never been myself, but I definitely have friends who have lived there and love it. Why is Detroit such what's the latest on Detroit? Talk to me about how Detroit is doing, and it's a great place for business too, as well. Obviously, right?
Very good. Yeah. So first, hop on a plane, John. We'll have you anytime. We love to host here. You're reaching us at the special sort of Super Bowl time of the year for us, which is the North American International Auto Show. All kinds of great stuff happening here on the ground. We obviously embrace a long and storied culture of entrepreneurship and innovation rooted in the automotive industry, but we've grown that now to mobility writ large. I'm actually sitting in one of very few advanced aerial innovation districts in the country, and in an urban setting, it is very rare, such that we can bring together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, regulators within the built environment and residents. So helping define what the future of advanced aerial mobility looks like. So it's a special time again here, in the context of this weekend, but writ large, we remain really in a tremendous time of revitalization here in the city. And it's, I have to brag on my city here, probably one of the best entrepreneurial ecosystems in the country. If you're looking to launch your business in particular, the capital options, the opportunity to meet, first customer pathways, the rich culture here that we have among entrepreneurs, again, is pretty hard to match elsewhere.
Fantastic. Yeah, maybe I'll have to take you up on the offer to check out Detroit in person for sure. So with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, what are some of the key things that you guys do in Detroit and in the whole state to make sure that small businesses are finding the success that they're looking for.
Yes. So our agency is a state agency. We are headquartered in Lansing. I get to bounce back and forth between my home city, Detroit, and Lansing, and really all over across the state of Michigan. It's a great point of pride for me to be able to be out and about across the state. So the work center is in Lansing, but we have touch points through field staff and some of my team all across all 83 counties in the state of Michigan. We are the state's economic development agency. We embrace a holistic approach to economic development. So that's certainly traditional business attraction and retention, community development, place-based economic development, and of course, tech-enabled high growth and small business development. That, again, a holistic mix and approach to economic development is really a differentiator among our peers, and another reason why we'd love to bring you and any one of your friends over here to Michigan, John.
That fantastic. If you're a first-time business starter, a first-time founder, and you're looking to get a start in Michigan, what are some of the places that are sort of the best option? Or, I'm sure a lot of them. There's a very large list, but what are some of like the biggest, best targets for founders who are wanting to get started in Michigan?
Yeah, the connection to industry is again really one of our points of strength here. The entrepreneurial ecosystem, or sort of the infrastructure innovation we have here, is really important, and again, a key reason why so many entrepreneurs want to stay here or move their businesses here, both on the high growth side or the traditional small business side. We have a network of hubs for which anyone across the state of Michigan can access resources to start, sustain, or grow their business. And on the tech side is called the SmartZones. This is a 20-member hub that's just about 20 years in existence now, that connects our tier one public research universities to speed technology commercialization, makes connection to industry, helps secure first customer pathways, and get our tech-enabled companies into the broader capital continuum. So getting into equity, private equity, earlier angel investing, and the like. On the traditional small business side, we have a sister program called the Small Business Support Hubs, where we're looking to do the same thing. We want to help launch profitable businesses from day one and help scale those companies and further diversify our state's economy.
Yeah, very good. Beyond those hubs, what are some examples of programs that also provide a tangible help to small, like storefront, early stage businesses? Yeah.
Sure. So I think one of the state's premier programs that we're pretty exceptionally proud of here is the Match on Main program. And this is a real embodiment of, again, the holistic approach to economic development that we embrace here in Michigan. It's a mix of place-based economic development, small business supports, and making sure that we put the decision making in the hands of our partners on the ground in over 200 partner communities across the state of Michigan to drive place-based economic development through small business development. So the work is in alignment with local community and economic development planning. So maybe there's a vacant space next to a beloved storefront downtown. We're helping fund converting that vacant space into a pop-up park, or maybe on the side of the building, we're cutting out a walk-up window to help that business extend their selling season year-round. Again, that's the Match on Main program, one of our flagship initiatives here, and really shows the partnership between the state of Michigan and our expert community leaders on the ground.
That's fantastic. Any other, sounds like a pretty cool program. Any other programs you want to highlight? And we're going to talk about the 83 Voices initiative that you did, and we're going to learn more about that. But any other programs out there that are helping those companies out there who might be watching from the state of Michigan or who want to go to Michigan?
Yeah, I think it's important to know just how far we flex our muscles to support entrepreneurs across the state of Michigan. We leverage all available state and federal resources. Michigan is one of the top 10 allocatees for something called the State Small Business Credit Initiative. It is a federal program of the U.S. Department of Treasury for which we've been allocated over $236 million in debt and equity-based capital. We are over $80 million in deployment to that program, just under 3 years in market. We're one of the leaders in the country really in this program. So helping expedite access to capital in rural and urban communities for folks using CDFIs, community development financial institutions, local credit unions, other community banks, filling in gaps in a capital stack that maybe are a bit risky to the lender because of a collateral shortfall or something to that effect. Just an example of how we really look every angle to leverage available funding for entrepreneurs in the state.
Fantastic. 83 counties in Michigan. Michigan's a big old state, and you had this initiative, 83 Voices, where you talk to different entrepreneurs. Tell us about that program. Tell us what you learned from the different entrepreneurs all over the state.
Certainly, yes. 83 Voices is a particular, again, point of pride here at the organization. Again, really showcasing just how far our touch points are in all 83 counties in the state of Michigan. So we completed a years-long campaign that just really highlighted the fact that every Michigander has a story to tell. That's how we refer to ourselves, by the way, Michiganders. We like that phrase. So for those who were born and raised here, to those who moved here for opportunities, we learned through the storytelling project that people are proud to live and build a future here. Whether it was someone who received direct small business support through the MEDC or someone living in a community actively involved with the MEDC on place-speaking efforts, these stories shine a light on the unique experiences of Michiganders across the state who all have a shared love for Michigan.
What were some of the pain points that the folks were talking about that they were experiencing?
Yeah, we just about every entrepreneur I think you'll ever come into contact with will tell you access to capital is an issue, and we really seek to tackle that from all ends. So I talked about how we're leveraging federal funds and other sources to assist direct providers, so lenders and VC firms, in bringing debt and equity-based capital to market. And that's really important. I think in part of what we're digging in also is really digging into the importance of second stage companies in our state. These are the largest providers of employment in our state. And we are digging in with a request for information that's actually going to launch here pretty soon, to really understand how we can best scale those profitable companies, but maybe sort of lingering in earlier stages, through new levers like AI, for example. So, I think we regularly dig in at these intervals to see, sort of establish and evaluate programs and investments we've made in market and how we can continue to build the bench of services and tools for our entrepreneurs across the state.
Yeah, I know bureaucracy is an issue in some other, states, and it's an issue all over the place. And what are some of the things that Michigan has done to sort of curb or limit or help with bureaucratic issues? What's Michigan, what's Michigan doing related to bureaucracy and making that better for businesses?
I think the most important approach that it is something that's both in our world and small business and entrepreneurship and in the traditional business development world is that our local partner network. So on the small business and entrepreneurship side alone, there are hundreds, maybe into the thousands of partners that we execute programming investments with on the ground. There's very little direct service that the Michigan Economic Development Corporation or my team does. Rather, we make investments through regional partnerships with experts in industry to solve for highly localized problems. And so that looks different in just about every region. I mentioned earlier in our conversation the Small Business Support Hubs program, and we made those strategic investments just 2.5 or so years ago, driven by the regional need. So those investments, partnerships, and the shape of them look very different whether you're in the Detroit region, the Lansing region, Grand Rapids, if you're in the Upper Peninsula. And I think, again, that's a great point of pride for us, how we're sort of decentralizing that decision making, putting the power in the hands of our local partners.
Fantastic. There are 900,000 roughly small businesses in the state, and that accounts for like most of the businesses in the state. So obviously there's some that are, it's not all just Detroit or Lansing or the urban areas. It's more rural areas. So what are the different needs of I think a lot of people out there don't realize that they think of Michigan, they think of Detroit, they think of steel, they think of cars, etc. They don't think of farming. They don't talk to us about just how important rural businesses are in Michigan, and tell us about that and the different needs that they have compared to more urban businesses.
Well, you're right. We're a huge state, and we're not just Detroit or Lansing or Grand Rapids. The vast majority of our geography really is rural communities. Agribusiness, in particular, is a huge driver of our economy. You know, as someone who spent a lot of time in more urban communities in our state and elsewhere in the country, I'll tell you that there's a lot of shared obstacles and opportunities. And I think that's a mindset and approach that, again, we embrace here at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, really helping drive localized decision making, empowering our partners on the ground to create strategies and learn from each other. These networks on the entrepreneurship side, the SmartZones on the tech side, the support hubs of the more traditional small business side, it's meant for the convening and connecting power among the providers and subject matter experts as well, such that best practice that we're cultivating in a more established entrepreneurial community like Detroit can be leveraged and tweaked appropriately for our colleagues in Marquette and the Upper Peninsula.
Awesome. Yeah. A lot of people don't even, they forget that there is that Upper Peninsula way up there. It's just such a huge state. So talk to us, give us another example or two of a company that has benefited from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, something that's been done to help a typical business that has really, succeeded or had their chances of succeeding made a lot better by the efforts of the MEDC. Love to hear a few more examples of that.
Sure. One of another signature program, certainly the last 5 years, is our Industry 4.0 initiative. We're on the tail end of that now, and I mentioned an RFI, a request for information, we're going to put out here shortly to help shape what the future of that programming looks like. But that was really, again, acknowledging the rich history of manufacturing here in our state and making sure that we continue to equip small to medium manufacturers with the tools, resources, and expertise they need to thrive for centuries to come. And so in this moment of heightened interest in reshoring, right, bringing back manufacturing to the state of Michigan, and to the country, we are keenly interested in continuing to bolster our state's supply chain. So this program, the Industry 4.0 Signature Initiative, touched nearly 6,000 small to medium manufacturers across the state of Michigan in educational and reimbursement grants to help them implement I4.0 technologies like AI and cybersecurity, automation, cloud-based engineering practices. It's a testament to the continued investment that we make in the culture of entrepreneurship innovation here in Michigan.
That's fantastic. So what are some patterns that you've seen out there as far as what types of support consistently, make the biggest difference for the businesses out there?
I think there's a great emphasis in our state, to the great credit of our partners, in one-on-one assistance, be it consulting, technical assistance, coaching. There's different ways to talk about it and execute on it. But I think what our partners have very clearly learned and demonstrated for others is that online courses are great for certain circumstances. Great to have group-based learning. We have lots of cohort-based learning. That peer-to-peer network is really important to how we build our states and bolster the founder focus here in the state. But the one-on-one assistance that our partners in the Smart Zone network, in the Support Hub network, through our leveraging of the SBA and small business development centers, their providers on the ground across the state, I think really makes a difference. It's that, close, tailored support to help people access capital for the first time. Think about putting together complex capital stacks, looking to hire for the first time, hiring many people for the first time, looking into your initial, capital expansion, growing your business. Otherwise, I think, again, that's a real differentiator in how we step up to support our entrepreneurs across the state of Michigan.
Let's talk about the future for the state. Let's talk about the next year. Let's talk about the next 3 to 5 years. So, where do you see the state continuing to grow even more? Where do you see for the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, what is the agency looking at in terms of how it's going to be helping to provide small businesses over the next 2-3 years, is sort of like the biggest priorities that you guys are seeing that are out there? Talk to me about the next year or 2 or 3, and what you guys are thinking.
Sure. Well, continued investment into bolstering the state's supply chain, so the reindustrialization measures, continued investment into small to medium manufacturers, in the not just implementation, but really optimization of those Industry 4.0 technologies that we talked about. And that bleeds over to the more traditional small business, sort of mom and pop Main Street business as well. We need to both help our legacy, longstanding small businesses understand that they need to adopt really the same digital technologies that are being used on the more high growth side, and make sure that we're helping build those companies with those competencies in a profitable way from the beginning. That measure of sort of global economic competitiveness really underscoring to our small businesses that we are participants in a global economy, and we need to be looking how we can differentiate and scale, measured up to partners really all over the world.
What are some, if you could get a chance to brag a little bit about the MEDC and what you guys have been doing? What are some lessons from your approach there that you're most proud of, and that maybe other states or other communities could learn from, or that they have maybe given you feedback that they've been inspired by, or give us a little bit of a bragging on the MEDC right now.
Well, that smart zone network, I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I mention it for this reason, is that other peer states here in the Midwest and across the country have really modeled their sort of technology-based economic development around that model as well. So the direct connection to early stage support that is tied to the university innovation pipeline. And now we're working very hard to continue to fold in corporate partners for JV activities, first customer pathways, corporate venture studio engagement. This is a big part of, again, that infrastructure for innovation that we have continued to invest in here in the state of Michigan for nearly 20 years.
That's fantastic. All right, let's for the any listeners, any viewers who want to dig deeper, let's where should they go to learn more about Michigan's resources for small businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So first stop is michiganbusiness.org. That's the Michigan Economic Development Corporation's main site, and you'll see our whole approach there to technology or to economic development. And then you just slash small business where you get to the specific small business pages. I would also encourage folks, particularly from elsewhere in the country, for a glance at what we do and how consistently we do it, and how highly raised the bar here. The Make It in Michigan newsletter, it's our monthly newsletter that really impacts, or that highlights the impact, particularly of entrepreneurship and small businesses here in the state. You can go to our website to look for the newsletter registration. Again, that's the Make It in Michigan newsletter. It's an awesome viewpoint into everything that we do day in and day out here in the state.
Is there anything else that you would have liked to have mentioned about MEDC, or any program in Michigan that's going on right now at all? Anything that you didn't get a chance to mention?
On maybe more on the tech-based side, we've had the great opportunity to highlight the tremendous amount of tech-based developments going on across the state of Michigan, and that is culminating in a $1 million pitch competition in Lansing, Michigan, in April, showcasing some of the highest quality companies that we are cultivating here in the state. So, it's an all of government approach. The Pitch Me competition is something that's in the budget, right? The state legislature took part in there, certainly with leadership from our governor, and then implemented here and with our on the ground partners across the state.
Fantastic. Amy Rencher of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. It's been great to have you on From the Ground Up. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.